Thanks for joining us for the February 3rd, 2023 episode of Dan Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. I'm Dennis, and I'll be your host as we recap the latest super news that caught our attention across the multiverse. But as the show title suggests, it'll probably mostly be Marvel. Later in this episode, we'll be putting a spotlight on the 1983 film Krull. But before that, we'll be getting in some Q&A with the gang that signed on to watch it with me. For those of you tuning in, don't be shy. We love hearing from you in the comments. And if you can't get enough of us, you should visit patreon.com/DanXmedia, where you'll find a variety of creative offerings, including recent episodes of our live after show, The Soapbox. Patrons get exclusive access to chat with us there. But if that's not your thing, don't worry. We'll release them to the public at a later date. All right, cool. I got all those formalities out of the way. So we're going to get some people out here. I'm trying to figure out the best one for him this time around. We're gonna say he's the Lissa to my Colwyn. How about that? It's Ricky.
Who?
See, because you said you didn't know any of the characters. I just figure, like we're two platonic people that just happen to be related by some, convenience. Yeah, we can talk about Krull more later. But thanks for putting up with that movie. That was a suggestion by the other person that's coming on our show right now.
It's like that restaurant you want to try at around your neighborhood that you never went to.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm happy I did it, but
yeah. His love of Marvel may only be exceeded by his love of all things 80s. It's Clarke. Was that a good description?
I picked this one. This was mine. I own it.
You did.
I will own it.
You did. We're not ready to talk about Krull quite yet, but I did have to do that sigh because I think I had dodged the Krull bullet for all of my 40-some years on this planet.
But like the glaive, it comes right back at you.
Yeah. God, a glaive, man.
All right, we save.
Yeah, we'll save it for later. Thanks for being back on the show in 2023. I think it's
always a pleasure.
Yeah. For those of you that aren't familiar with what we've been doing lately, there's been a drought of Marvel content. There has not been a new show or new movie since the Guardians holiday special in November. So we've decided to just start revisiting old classic heroes' journey stories and seeing them through the lens of now. And we'll keep doing that until Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania comes out in 2 more weeks, right?
You guys got tickets?
Yep.
Nah, I haven't got tickets yet. I just get them the day of, whatever.
Right.
It's not a big deal.
I have my tickets.
I'll just go see it. And I'm happy to go see it. Don't dismiss, or don't confuse what my tone for lack of excitement. I am excited. It's just a given. I will go see a Marvel movie as soon as it comes out. But outside of the Marvel stuff that's coming down the pipeline, what have you guys been nerding out on lately?
You guys know I've been going down this baseball, football card route. I'm going to a card convention tomorrow. But have you guys heard of an app called What's That? It's like live mini auctions for collecting. That's where I've been getting most of my cards, and sports cards are just like a fraction of that site. You can go down like the Lego route, the coin route, the Marvel Legends route. But it's kind of cool. It's like live auctions, and you bid off to the site. But it was not to give them a plug, but it was super cool to see all the different collectors meeting together, and you can find literally everything and anything on there.
Just to clarify, I mean, I'm very proud that you're enjoying disposable income, but you do have a 401k also, right?
Yeah, it's all sunk in the cards. Yeah.
All right. No. No, just want to make sure you've got some savings set up.
Yeah. It's all in the cards.
Okay. No.
Well, there's also some in Bitcoin and Dogecoin.
Oh God. All right. We'll work on that later.
Got some Beanie Babies.
Yeah, it's trust me, as somebody who has collected a lot of things in his life, it's best to streamline and pick one lane and go down that, because it'll bite you in the ass later.
It definitely does.
Clarke, what about you? What have you been running down on?
I went to the Pasadena Comic-Con last weekend.
Oh.
Which is only one day, and it just reminds me of humble beginnings. Probably the biggest celebrity there was Johnny Young Bosch.
Who?
He had the biggest line.
Black Ranger?
Yeah, Black Ranger from like the second or third.
The Power second Rangers. Black Ranger. Yeah, when they decided maybe the Black Ranger shouldn't be a black person.
Oh,
that was
so he had the longest line there, and they had but they had a few celebrities. Mostly it was toys and not a lot of artists. So all just in one ballroom at the Pasadena Convention Center. You walked right in and stuff. So just a humble reminder of how Comic-Cons began. So I went with Alina and my friend Lisa, and so that was fun.
That's cool. What was the coolest thing you saw there that you couldn't buy?
Well, they had, they did have a lot of the figures and the toys, and it was kind of interesting going to see, because I don't normally have time too much for that in San Diego and such, but seeing like the old G.I. Joe collection and stuff. And I had actually just gone through some of my old collections because I was looking for something else. And so then you find the box marked G.I. Joes. I'm like, oh, there's that. And I'm like, oh, wow, this one's actually worth something. And
you should go to What's That?
Now I'm going to now. Yeah. Maybe I have a second retirement with my actual 401k. But I mean, for me, the best thing is that I found a Disney artist who had some really good art, and he had some. The best thing that was there that I didn't buy is some of his originals because they were like $300, but they were really good. But
like what era Disney artists, like 90s, 2000s,
like Disney Renaissance, like Little Mermaid.
Oh wow,
he's the one that drew the penis in the castle.
He is not, but he's. I have his card somewhere, but
wait, when you say he is not, that means you asked him just to clarify that he's not.
Was it the?
We always talk about the penis in the castle of Little Mermaid. No, we didn't. I'm guessing there, but we were talking. He had a print of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea that I really liked, and then I'm going through, and I also chose one of his Rocketeer prints, and he goes, "Okay, I know how old you are now."
Yeah.
That's on the list of movies we should watch.
It's on the list. It doesn't need to be added. It's already on the list. My list is 4,000 movies, Ricky. I promise you, Krull was already on the list.
Oh. You should have on that list.
But he's like, he said, I have a 20,000 Leagues room in one of my houses. And I'm like, one of your houses?
That's
and it turns out that he creates Disney themed Airbnbs in Florida that he rents for.
Oh, that's awesome.
For really good stuff.
That's really cool.
That's really close to. And so he pulled out his phone and he's showing us pictures of his house and the different themed rooms. They're all Disney themed and stuff. And so, that was the highlight.
Side note, because the best I could add to that is I once stayed at a cabin in Idlewild that was Prince themed. The living room was purple. There was guitar. There was a bunch of Prince albums you could play on vinyl.
Purple's not a good cheat color for like an Airbnb.
Well, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
There was a purple sofa. That was about it. There was a Prince Funko on a mantle. Like, I don't think they put the effort that your guy did into theming out the place, but you know, they did the bare minimum to make you be like, I guess this is Prince themed. So, anyways.
And I guess in other news, because this just happened, I'm going to be in another play at PCC. I just got cast a smaller role in Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap.
But you're going to play it with an American accent, correct?
Nope, I'm doing the British.
Please do.
No, we're doing the
All
British.
right, give the audience a taste of where it's at right now.
It's not ready.
It's not ready. Well, since you guys were kind enough to ask me what I've been nerding out on, and by the way, congratulations on getting that part.
Dennis, what have you been nerding out on?
The Last of Us is amazing.
I was gonna say that, but other stuff came up. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'm trying to finish the game before I get to.
I don't think you should.
Wait, you never finished the game?
I didn't. I got through like 3/4 of the game.
Okay,
I feel like you just watched the show.
I can honestly say the show is way better than the game. Like way, way better. Like it's just a lot better than the game.
I think what's the Uncharted problem, right, with Naughty Dog games is like Nathan Drake's like a mass murderer.
Yeah. And no, that's my problem.
And the Last of Us is kind of the same way. I think it's a little more justified story wise in that game.
But the quantity of human beings that Joel murders in the span of that game is like beyond like mass murder. Like it's just too.
It's the game part of the game. I mean,
it's an unbelievable amount of people.
But they're infected.
No, there's a bunch of people he kills that aren't infected too.
Yeah,
it's way too many people, and so like
it's like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but more. He kills more people than they do in The Walking Dead. It's nuts. Like, so I really appreciate that they just chop out all those parts of the game and then give you the story. And yeah, it's a great show. I really love it. You can beat it if you want, but once you beat it.
I watched episode 1 and I was on episode 2, and I think I've played through part of episode 3.
Oh my god!
So I was holding, but I will not hold anymore and just watch them as they come out.
Wow,
you need to watch 3 now.
I know.
Yeah.
Believe me, I saw the internet explode after it. I'm like,
3 is the greatest thing ever that I've seen, at least this year. I can't wait for Nick Offerman to get his Emmy nomination for that. Yes. It's happening.
That's all that I've heard. I've heard great stuff. So I will be doing that tomorrow then. So I'll be caught up for Sunday's episode.
And then the other thing I've been just binging in the background is that 70s show on Peacock. I can't stop watching it. That show ages very well. Like, and I think it's because it takes place in a time other than when it was filmed, you know what I mean? Like it was filmed in the early 2000s, but it takes place in the 70s. So like they just get to have fun making fun of a totally different era. And it's surprisingly good, like 20 years later, you know, it's pretty awesome. But I got on that kick because I watched that 90s show on Netflix. It's goodish. It's not nearly as funny. What's that?
They got a season 2.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm happy for them. I would watch more of it just because I like the characters, Red Foreman and Kitty Foreman. You know, like they're 2 of the best characters in that 70s show, and they're the only 2 that recur, every episode in that 90s show. So, yeah, but I highly recommend it. It's if you've never watched it, it's really funny. There's a lot of weed smoked in that show, like pretty much every episode. And Ashton Kutcher is like Kramer level good as a stupid idiot. Like I feel like he studied watching Seinfeld just to like learn how to be the best Kramer he could be on that show.
I remember watching the show, but I definitely didn't like watch every episode of every season.
I am on season 5 right now.
I don't think I've ever gotten to a sitcom like that.
It's pretty funny, man. It's pretty funny. It's a good show. Anyways, that's all we got. I don't know if you guys want to talk about like more on brand stuff. Like, you got any Marvel news you got for us? Ricky?
Well, I am previewing Super Nintendo World this weekend at Universal Studios.
You gonna get a band? The little magic band thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at them.
I have no idea what you're talking about. The magic band.
It's like the wands for Harry Potter World. You can interact with stuff with the band.
Oh,
it's an actual amiibo though. Mm-hmm. So, if that matters,
that is true. Yeah.
Anyways, we got.
I honestly, there's more stuff that I haven't, because I kind of want to be amazed when I go there. I haven't looked too much into the stuff. I want to be surprised, but I got one of the preview times because I'm a pass holder. So
I would argue that you should do the opposite of that and get super prepared so that you can plan out your whole day. That's how I did California Adventure. I watched an entire 30-minute video of everything there was to do there, and I spent the entire day experiencing every single thing there was to do at the Marvel campus, the Avengers campus. I was really happy that I watched that video because it let me know where things were and what I could have missed out on had I not paid attention to it. So that's just what's up.
I'm due for another trip.
Yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Anyways, Ricky, do it. Do your news.
Okie dokie. Let's get right into this week's news. First on deck, Marvel's putting out a new book. So look out for The Little Guy, written by Scott Lang, the in-universe book that's going to be featured in the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is actually being released as a real book containing short stories about different parts of Ant-Man's life.
That actually sounds really awesome.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most newsworthy bit of book news that came out this week. But as part of this announcement, they're putting out another book, like the official MCU timeline. So people are kind of stoked on that to finally get some clarity on what the hell's been happening for the past 5-6 years, in what order.
Oh, you mean the new movies? The new movies in the correct order.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. I see.
Next up, we got The Boys. They were the most streamed superhero show of 2022. Are we surprised by that? Or
no, I'm pretty sure everybody has an Amazon Prime account. Like,
we also have to watch the show though.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, step one is have a Prime account, right? Like, the barrier of entry for most of the Marvel stuff is you have to sign up for Disney Plus. You don't get free shipping with Disney Plus. So I'm just saying they've already got a bigger audience. You know, the net's capturing more people. So it makes sense. But on top of that, it's a damn good show. So I'm not going to knock it. Like, that's cool.
So number 1 superhero show, and number 11 show, any show of last year. So pretty good numbers for.
What was number 1? I remember it was something that didn't surprise me. I remember
Ozark, Wednesday.
It wasn't Ozark.
Sorry, Stranger Things was number 1.
Yeah, Stranger Things is
followed by Ozark, Wednesdays, and Dahmer in The Crown. So
Wednesday came out like at the end of the year. That many people watched Wednesday, huh?
A lot of people watch Wednesday.
I watched Ozark and Dahmer, but I've not watched Wednesday.
I watched Wednesday, though not the whole series, but I watched the first episode.
Well,
but we all watched The Boys because it's good.
Well, we also watched the first season of this Hit Monkey. Everyone's favorite Hit Monkey getting a season 2 over at Hulu.
I did not watch Hit Monkey.
Here's my thing, Ricky. Did you ever finish it?
No.
Okay, because like I tried to tell you guys, like if you can put up with it, there is a really great episode towards the end, but you have to get far, and I don't think it's worth it to put up with it. But cool, I guess Jason Sudeikis is going to come back for another season of Hitmonkey.
I mean, if you got a Jason Sudeikis project right in 2023, you're gonna try to greenlight it.
What took them a year to greenlight this thing?
That Ted Lasso money effect. Oh, Olivia Munn had a kid, right? So took some time off there.
I totally forgot she's in that.
He had a kid, I think.
That's how meaningless her contribution to that show was.
Like, well, Hitmonkey season 2 coming to a TV near you.
But I heard they dropped the Marvel from it.
I think from what I understand, they dropped like the bigger plan of what they were going to do.
But I'm saying the title is no longer going to say Marvel's Hitmonkey. That's what I read.
I'd be fine with that if it disconnected.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean that means you don't get a Deadpool in it.
That's fine. I'm fine with that too. Okay. Alrighty. Marvel Snap got an update this past week, but in the Marvel Snap side of things, the Kamala Khan emote has kind of come up. Do you see that as a aggressive / toxic emote when you see that thrown up on your Snap screen after a loss?
Wait, is that what it means, or you're asking if that's how we take it?
How do you take it?
Yeah,
I take it as the one on the right.
I guess. I mean, so the original emote is her giving a thumbs up, and the implied one is the middle finger.
Any emote that I get at the end of a game that I take
the Kamala Khan thumbs up when I beat somebody that spammed emotes the entire game. That's when they're so confident they're going to beat me, and then they lose, and then I just remind them that they talked so much crap, then I spam the emote. But I never really considered it an FU, more like, how's that taste kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's kind of aggressive, but it's no more aggressive than all of the emotes that get spammed in that game.
I would not label it as toxic.
Yeah.
It's just kind of been the discourse from this past week on the Snap Twitter. What is everyone's take on this? And some people take it super personally, and others just see it in stride. But it is kind of fascinating.
How do you take anything personal on that when it's all just a bunch of canned emotes? I don't take anything.
Yeah. Personal. Also, I mentioned this on the other show that I do, the Cracking Snap with Chi, with Dennis and Chi. It's me and Chi. I mentioned that as much as I want to get mad at players in that game, like when they do crummy things, use Hobgoblin or Green Goblin or anything that's just meant to ruin your day. Yeah. It's not their fault, man. It's the cards. It's the people who made the cards. It's you know what I mean? It's the developer's fault. So don't get mad at the player for just using the game as intended, it's just, so if these emotes are in there, and I feel like they're the most non-threatening emotes ever, if you want to get mad at them, I think you seek therapy. I don't know. That just seems like too much.
I'm still gonna drop 4 scorpions on team 5 whenever I can. So
I know.
I'm still snapping on turn 1. So there we go.
I did the 4 scorpions on Bar Sinister today just because of you. I had the option, and I was like, I did 4 Nightcrawlers on turn 1, and then I moved them off of it, and then I did 4 scorpions, and then on turn 3 they quit.
Well,
I love that game. It's great.
That was it for Marvel news.
What about Marvel Legends?
That was it for Marvel not Legends news. But we have some DC news to talk about.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
James Gunn has revealed part of his 10-year plan for DC. The first phase saga, what you call it, is going to be called Gods and Monsters, and it's going to be at least contain some movies, some TV shows, some games, in a interconnected universe. Before we list them off, how are we feeling about this announcement?
Well, I know you're going to list them off, but like, there's another thing that he mentioned that he's going to do, or two things. One, there are some shows or some existing properties out there that are not going to be, they're going to have their own universes, right? And so they're going to be rebranded as Elseworld stories. So I think that includes like Harley Quinn, and I think that includes Teen Titans Go, and whatever other TV shows may be running.
The Batman and its subsequent show.
Oh yeah, the Batman, the sequel to the Matt Reeves Batman movies and spinoffs from that. Those are all going to have an Elseworlds logo thrown up at the beginning of the movie, and I really like that because I think that some of my favorite DC stories have always been Elseworld stories, because it's one thing to like have such an established lore that like it's just transcended like just the comic books, right? Like people who've never read the story of Superman know Superman's story, right? So like I think the coolest thing about Elseworlds is that they lean on that and then they tell different versions of those kind of things. And so I appreciate that they're leaning into that more, because that's a logo that they've used a lot in DC in the comics, that it's always got me just a little bit excited, because it's just like,
agreed.
Yeah.
I think before we list off the slate, they also did note that part of the DCEU will be part of this new plan. So everything will be kind of reset with the upcoming Flash movie.
Yeah.
With Ezra being iffy on continuing as the Flash.
Oh, dude, that guy ain't the Flash by the end of the movie. You and I, but we all know that right now. Breaking story, it's a different actor that comes out of that time travel.
They weren't. I figured if you were going to say that, you would say it now.
No, because they spoiled everything else about the movie already.
Well, skipping past the Flashpoint, Aquaman will be the first movie in this universe. So
I thought Blue Beetle
stay. Blue Beetle is going to be its own thing as part of it's probably I think the last project of the DCEU.
No, I think Blue Beetle's still part of his 8 to 10 year plan. He included it in the list. Also, whatchamacallit, the Shazam Fury of the Gods.
Blue Beetle.
So yeah, Shazam comes before Flash, so it could be part of the DCU, but then get reset.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that they're firing the Shazam cast. They can still come over into the new universe.
Yeah, they're like in movie purgatory. If they do well, they'll probably be
for sure
looped in. If they don't, then they're done.
Yeah, but then Aquaman will. Or parts of Aquaman will survive the Flashpoint. Which is to say, not Amber Heard, but definitely Jason Momoa.
Are we okay with Jason Momoa being both Aquaman and Lobo?
Is it confirmed that he's Lobo?
No, I'm just playing fun with that.
I don't think he ever was.
I don't have a problem.
I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange and Dormammu.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of those characters is a white guy and the other one's a big.
Yeah, but head. I mean, Lobo.
Yeah, but
Lobo has so much makeup and
Lobo's pretty made up.
Ashen, yeah, and the personalities are different enough. I mean, if I recall correctly, they haven't shown it in the trailers, but I've heard Jason Momoa say that in Aquaman 2, they took a little bleach to his hair. They blonded him up a little.
Good.
That's what he said. in an interview, but that was, again, so much things have changed. And we haven't seen any new footage of Aquaman 2 for so long. But
Super Bowl's next week. We'll probably get something.
You know what? Good point. But
it's
overall,
I don't. I'm not looking forward to a Super Bowl commercial of the DC. You know what? The last time I got a Super Bowl commercial of the DC universe, that backfired pretty bad.
And for almost a
year,
man.
Of DC. I remember that.
So good.
That was terrible.
Oh man, the biggest comeuppance.
And now half the movies that were in that one are finally coming out this year.
Yeah.
Anyways, why don't you go through the list of things that are coming out here in the new Gods and Monsters phase of the DC universe. New DC universe.
The first thing to come out is a TV show, Creature Commandos, starring Rick Flag, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Weasel, and the other two people I don't know.
So, do we think this is a new Rick Flag?
I think so. But I don't have any doubts that Weasel will be played by his brother.
I mean, honestly, James Gunn made Rick Flag cool. Like, I thought that character was way better in the second Suicide Squad.
They were very adamant saying the characters who voice these
animated will be cast by the same people that would play them in real life. Yeah.
So
yeah,
you gotta take that into account.
Okay, cool.
And then next,
hopefully Joel Kinnaman is a halfway decent voice actor.
After that, you got Waller, which is a pseudo Peacemaker season 2. It'll follow Amanda Waller post reveal in Peacemaker. And then number 3 on the list is probably the big boy. It is Superman Legacy, which is James Gunn is going to write. He is unclear if he will be directing that project, but that'll be is it All-Star Superman, kind of a similar take to what they were.
Well, they showed the picture of All-Star Superman when he was talking about it, and I can't help but think that's probably where it's drawing reference from, which I'm cool with if it is, because like I don't like Grant Morrison's writing, but like I do respect that Grant Morrison understands that comics constantly need to change the status quo in order to maintain or get new people on board. And I think, like I was saying before, Superman is such an established character. The best way to get people interested in a 15 millionth reboot of this character is do something different that audiences have never seen before with it. And I think All-Star Superman's a great story to tell for that, which is just like Superman is a massive dick that just like has infinite resources at his disposal, has like all kinds of stuff available to him. The guy's even cured cancer, but he doesn't feel that the people of Earth are ready for it. And that's just like, it's hilarious to me. Like, it's like all of the little things that remind you that he's totally an alien trying to understand how to be human. But I think that's a good starting point for a character that would eventually fall in love with humanity. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It sounds like it'll be a Superman, like an already established Superman story, which is something we haven't gotten.
Yeah.
Just kind of skip the farm, skip Krypton, and just get him here.
Skip Smallville.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do all of that.
All right. Mm-hmm. Next up is Lanterns, a HBO Max show, which is being described as a true detective story about Precinct Earth. Pretty stoked on that.
I want to be stoked on it, but like it all depends on how good the special effects are. Are we talking like The Last of Us budget? Or are we talking about Titans budget? You know what I mean? Like,
there's going to be a lot of green circles.
In between. You'll get in between.
Green circles and green squares.
I mean, they're doing it smart by setting it on Earth. So the the money can go towards the Green Lantern effects, right? You wouldn't be able to do it on
Yes.
Oa.
Yeah.
And then the kind of surprise announcement: The Authority, a theatrical film. Is it Wildstar Comics? Is that where that's from?
Wildstorm.
Wildstorm, who is a sub-label of DC.
Yeah, I believe The Authority was.
Yeah, it was Jim Lee's. Or Jim
Yeah,
Lee
I
founded
believe
Wildstorm,
it's Wildstorm, but I mean, it's. I could be wrong. It might actually be DC, but
It's been described to me as boys adjacent.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that's a good an analogy for sure.
Sure, I'm down with that.
Yeah, it's the boys in the DC universe. Yeah, which I think it's really cool that he's planting the seeds for like building a base level, like, you know, before going all the way to the top. You know what I mean? He's got these weird characters that he's got the Peacemaker characters, he's got the Creature Commandos, he's got the Green Lanterns, and like, you know, you want to work your way up to a Justice League fighting Darkseid. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, don't jump into it.
Yeah.
Are we going to see though an R-rated DC movie?
Heck yeah, I think if James Gunn's in charge, we're gonna see a lot of R-rated DC movies. But
I would even go as far to say that the Batman sequel will be rated R. I think they'll do it.
They might. I don't think Superman will be rated R, and it doesn't need to be. And I don't think Blue Beetle needs to be rated R, but pretty much all the other ones have the flexibility of if it's justified, you know, why not do it?
Let me list off the other 5 for the sake of time. We got Paradise Lost, a HBO Max show around kind of a Themyscira prequel series.
They described it as like Game of Thrones, right? But like in Themyscira, yeah.
The Brave and the Bold, a Batman story featuring Damian Wayne and the Bat family. They made it a point to announce that. We're getting a Booster Gold TV show on HBO Max, a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow theatrical film, and a Swamp Thing theatrical film.
At least half of those can be rated R. At least. Honestly, the Batman Damian Wayne movie could easily be rated R.
If you have 2 Batmans to play with, I think you make one R.
Yes.
To me, that makes the most sense.
I agree.
You go full Batman with one, you know.
Well, full Batman is still not what Zack Snyder did.
Not full Batman, but you get.
But I'm saying Damian Wayne.
I'm the goddamn Batman.
Yeah, Damian Wayne kills. He kills a lot.
Yeah,
and so like that's kind of what makes him fun is, you know, his caretaker is the man that's most famous for not killing, and he suddenly is adopting this kid that is trained by the League of Assassins and is like one of the greatest killers they've ever trained, and he's like 10 or something like that. It's pretty funny. Again, change the status quo. Like, he's the Robin that we have not seen on screen. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know, I hope that doesn't mean that we, like you said, I hope the other Bat family is there too, because it's funnier if they all.
I hope we have Nightwing already.
Yeah.
You know, I want Dick Grayson to be Nightwing.
Yeah. I want the other Robins to come in now and then and be like, whoa, what's up with that kid? That is good luck with that, you know, or they have to babysit one night because, you know, Bruce is going to go out on a date with Selena. You know, who knows? Who knows? Make it a comedy for rom-com.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the future of DC. I like that James Gunn has laid out.
I just like that they have a cohesive, like universe that they're trying to put together.
And someone's in charge.
I think it's important to reiterate that like he is not directing or writing every single one of these projects.
Correct. He's higher up the chain than that. He is in charge of overseeing that they get done. And that's fine. He's like the Kevin Feige of it all. Him and Peter Safran together, you know, like he's just going to be the face while Safran is going around and moving the money and getting all the the players together and stuff like that.
It's ambitious, though. I mean, you're talking about getting actors for games, movies, and TVs.
Yeah, but I think the cool thing is like it's kind of better that they're doing it now as opposed to 10 years ago, because 10 years ago they just weren't even remotely ready to go toe to toe with Marvel. Do you know what I mean? But now all you hear is people are having Marvel fatigue. You know what I mean? So like maybe this will rejuvenate that whole thing, or maybe it'll be a bust. Who knows? Who knows? I'm excited though. I'm excited.
Part of the 10-year plan, so there's definitely more to this list that we'll probably learn at a subsequent Comic-Con.
And for me, growing up, in the 80s and 90s, reading these comics, my favorite thing about the Marvel and DC comics is that they used to have a healthy rivalry that pushed each other. They would share creators would go back and forth, and it would force, it would force both companies to be good, to push them to greatness, so I think it's a bad time right now for DC, and it's right. They can only go up.
We want good Marvel movies and we want good DC movies. I'm a good both.
Yes. All right, I think we got one more bit of news. That's some Marvel Legends.
That's it for my news, but we got some Legends.
We got a Yondu Udonta was revealed the other day. This is how far we are down the rabbit hole.
Wow.
This is a comic book
Yondu. It took this long.
They took full fin Yondu.
Yep, this is him. Classic from the original Guardians of the Galaxy comic book. It's a Yondu figure, and he's going to be a Target exclusive to be released sometime in the spring for pre-order, so probably Marchish. But
boots are dumb.
Hey, those are Captain America's boots, bro.
They're dumb too.
Those are Hawkeye's boots.
It's also dumb.
There's a lot of characters with those boots. Yeah, they're pirate boots. Those are pirate boots. The pirates wear those boots.
Yep.
I think Corsair wears them too. And then if you thought those were dumb, the other 2-pack was revealed recently. It's a Squadron Supreme Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum 2-pack. Could be, they haven't said where this is going to be made available yet, but oh my god, I love it so much, and they look so stupid. They just look like they did in the comics. I don't know how to sell this to anybody who doesn't know what the Squadron Supreme is, but they look like Spectrum. And
what does Dr. Spectrum do?
What does Green Lantern do?
That's his power? Hard light, right? That's what it's called?
The Squadron Supreme is an analogous 1-to-1 parody of the Justice League. Every single member of the Squadron Supreme has a DC counterpart. So this is basically your Superman and your Green Lantern right here. Yeah,
sir.
Yeah, but he just uses the prism. He's holding a prism there in his hands. He's got a cool little prism. But yeah, it's I don't know how to sell you on this other than like check out Squadron Supreme. There's actually the first printings of the collected graphic novel actually include the ashes of one of the creators after he died. He asked that his ashes be put into the printing materials,
so he could haunt us all.
So he is there in the first printings of that.
Wow,
I think that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Ricky's like, I'll just read it on Unlimited.
Yeah, it's on the Unlimited. So
I'll watch a YouTube of somebody reading it on Unlimited.
Yeah. No ashes involved in that.
Yeah, but they're a counter to the Avengers. It's the Squadron Supreme goes up against the Avengers, and it's like back in the day that was the best you're ever gonna get because they didn't know how to get the Avengers to actually fight the Justice League. That was much later.
That's cool. The news.
All right. Thank you so much for that news. I appreciate it. We're going to move right into some Q&A to get our guest Clarke ready for the discussion coming up. Here we go. Q&A time for Clarke, but some of us can also answer these questions if you like. Here we go. First up, from a flock of beagles, what's your favorite terrible movie?
So I guess considered it was a flop, but I absolutely adore it. Speed Racer.
Oh, we should add that up on the list.
Love Speed Racer. I love that movie.
That final race scene.
I watch it multiple times a year. I totally get what the Wachowskis were going for, and it just felt it was so necessary. It's a living cartoon.
I would pay some serious money to go watch that movie in IMAX again.
Mm-hmm. I'd be sitting next to you.
I don't even
consider in 4D.
I don't even consider that a terrible movie.
See, I don't consider, but it was a flop.
Yeah, so what context of terrible are we saying?
People put it on.
I think I interpret it as more like, what's a movie that you love that you feel guilty loving? Is that Speed Racer?
I don't feel guilty loving it just because I love it so much. But yeah, tonight's was another good example. I love Krull, and I knew what you guys were getting into.
Wow. Okay.
But Krull was big in my childhood, and believe me, I've seen it. I know what it is. I know the cheesy special effect, but this is one of my favorite movies. So
whoa, okay, then I think that was the answer for the question.
Another one. Roger Corman did one called Battle Beyond the Stars. That was a clear Star Wars ripoff. But I remember seeing it as a kid and really enjoying it. Ironically, and this could be one of the connecting factors. James Horner also did the music, and I remember the music so well. So that factors in.
Ricky, what about you?
You already know. It's Signs. I adore that movie.
Well, I think that movie's
Signs
terrible,
is awesome.
but most people don't think it's terrible.
I think most people think it's bad, right?
No, I think Signs, they still count that as when Shyamalan was good. That Signs, a lot of people put that as like the last good Shyamalan movie.
But you're not supposed to like it because Mel Gibson's in it, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was before. It was right. Was it before he was bad?
Not before he was a racist. He's always been a racist.
God, I mean, it's been a rough year for me then in terms of art. I have to stop liking.
You didn't see the Signs.
I didn't know M. Night self-publishes his movies. I did not know that. That's why he can make so many movies. That's why he keeps getting a lot of stuff greenlit, because he pays for a lot of it. It's like stupidly profitable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I found that fascinating. But how about you, Dennis?
Well, I mean, I guess I've had more time to answer the question because I've seen these questions from earlier today. I was thinking about the classic works of like Adam Sandler or Norm Macdonald. Like Dirty Work is definitely one of the movies up there for me. It's a terrible movie, but like it's funny. It's funny to me. Or even Billy Madison. I know, like, Billy Madison does not age well, man. It doesn't age well.
Never seen it.
But Norm Macdonald's in it, and it's so stupid funny in it. Like, I just love things with Norm Macdonald in them, even though they're not good.
Okay, I have one. I have a great one for you that totally fits your definition. Down Periscope.
Who's in that one?
Kelsey Grammer. It's about where he has to take a World War II submarine and fix it up and do war games with the idea that Russia was selling off their old subfleet, and he has to go against the modern Navy in his World War II submarine with the crew from hell. You guys have never seen Down Periscope?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. It's considered a bad movie. I love it.
I mean, I kind of like.
It's the underdog, stuff. So he's the underdog captain with the team of misfits that use their misfit skills to triumph.
My favorite
you've seen the story, but
Misfits movie is probably The Ringer, and I know that movie is very problematic now, but I really liked that movie as a kid.
Mystery Men, best Misfits movie.
Oh, great movie.
Mhm.
Mystery Men.
That's not a terrible movie. That's a great movie.
No, I would not dare put that on a terrible list.
At Meet Morp 2000.
All right.
If you could live in one fictional universe, what would it be?
Star Trek.
Yeah.
I want replicated. I want no poverty. No.
That's the
I
only
would
one without
live on
racism.
Earth.
Okay,
In
no
Star Trek.
poverty is wrong. There is definitely poverty.
On Earth?
Not on
though?
Earth.
Yeah,
Yes.
Earth is pretty good.
Yeah, remember Tasha Yar talks about like the rape gangs that would come around. Yeah, dude, I was shocked when I rewatched Next Generation and found out that not all is right on Earth. She referenced rape gangs multiple times in that show in the first seasons, and I was like, gross. Next Generation, what
On
are you
Earth?
doing? Yeah, well, that's where Tasha Yar's from, right?
I don't think so. I'm gonna look that up.
Okay, you can look it up.
Well,
But in any case, I get your point. If you're in Starfleet, things are pretty good, unless you're a red shirt.
that's true. Hey, I'd be happy just living by Cisco's in New Orleans.
Cisco's in New Orleans.
Cisco, his dad had an incredible restaurant in New Orleans.
Where is this character from?
Like
I'm
the
trying to
singer
remember.
Cisco?
Yes, the singer Cisco.
No, Captain Cisco from Deep Space
Oh.
Nine. It's my favorite Star Trek show.
I want to live in Tron, right? Because like, if you're a user, like, would I be a user or would I just be a program? Right.
I don't know.
Live in a computer all day, live forever. I don't know how.
Interesting. I think Star Trek's a good first choice. My thing is, you don't see a lot of wheelchair people in Star Trek. Not a lot.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
took care of that.
I'm gonna say,
What if they're all like walking in Star Trek, like the medicine?
the medicine.
Super utopia.
I definitely wouldn't want to be in a Star Wars universe. That's for sure. That's
Right.
That's rough. I'm not gonna lie, man. I think the universe that I've seen depicted on screen that is the most disabled friendly, surprisingly, is the Mad Max universe. Like, I have seen quite a few disabled people get pretty far in life in that universe, and I'm like, I don't know how, but Master Blasters definitely runs Bartertown. And then also, what is the in the
Immortus,
so you run
Joe,
the pile of pig crap.
Immortus has his little friend that just hangs out in the throne next to him.
Little friend, that's what you want. That's your aspiration.
I'm just saying. They're living the life of luxury up there. Immortus Joe. I've just always appreciated, like, when I go back and watch the Mad Max universe, I'm like, hey man, there's some interesting looking human beings.
Do you think
there.
Immortus Joe makes sure that there's ramps by every staircase in his little kingdom?
Probably, yeah. No, but if not that universe, then probably, I don't know. The DC universe is pretty cool, just because, like, it's all pretty.
There's a lot of crime there.
No, only Gotham.
If you
live in Gotham, that's your
Bloodhaven.
choice. Yeah, or Bloodhaven. Just go live where Superman is, and you're good to go.
Or Flash.
Or the Flash, yeah, something like that. Yeah, I just remember when I read the JLA Avengers story, and they each get transported into each other's universes, and Superman just starts crying when he goes to the Marvel universe because it's just dirty and like riddled with protesters and crime and everything like that, and he just doesn't understand why things have to look that awful. But then you go to the DC universe, and people have like museums dedicated to them and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's probably my answer. Yeah, they definitely. There's definitely. I mean, Professor X has a cool chair, but I don't see that readily available to everybody else. I'm just saying, it's just not a common thing.
You gotta be friends with Tony Stark.
Yeah. At James BB Gun, what reference do you feel is missing from Ready Player One?
The movie or the game?
It has Krull in it. What's missing?
I don't know.
Let's see. What would I say is missing? I mean, clearly they had stuff that they didn't have from the book because it couldn't be transferred.
Yeah.
So, but I would say D&D, because that's one of the things that I really liked in the book, the full D&D reference, and I think that could have been cool to see some Dungeons and Dragons in there.
But what 80s thing is missing from the book that you feel should be in it? I've never finished the book because I was annoyed by it. But is Mask in it?
No.
I feel like no.
No. I don't think Mask is, but maybe He-Man. I don't think He-Man is.
Really? He-Man's not in it?
It's not in a major fashion. They don't go to Eternia. I mean,
it's just referenced though. Like, is it referenced?
There's so many references. I haven't read the book for a few years, so I don't remember down to each page. I mean, because literally some of the pages are just him saying, you could go to Eternia, or you could go to Themyscira, or you could go. I mean, a reference is literally just one thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember that about the book. That's what I hated about it. Is just like everything you ever loved as a child is referenced in the same sentence and only separated by commas. And it's like, well, this just feels like you're just mashing everything all together. I don't care enough about the movie or the book to be have a definitive answer on this. But
that'd be a fun universe to live in.
If Mask wasn't in it, Mask should be in it. Also, Alf.
I want 80s Disney World. I've been on a 80s Disney World kick lately on YouTube, and that place seemed amazing.
I went to Disney World in the 80s.
Was it amazing?
When Epcot was brand new.
I'll never get to experience it.
It was cool. And the Disney World, though, in the 80s, when we finally went to Disney World, it was disappointing because it was so similar to Disneyland.
R.I.P. to People Mover.
They didn't have all the other the Animal Kingdom or the movie set and stuff. It was very similar to Disney World, but Epcot was just amazing.
It was the center.
Yep.
Put it in Ready Player One, Player Two.
I guess. I mean, it's just a ball.
Epcot's a ship, right? Technically, like that's like the in-story
thing. Experimental prototype city of tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a city. All right, one more.
It should transform.
This one's going to be a perfect segue. At LL Warm J, isn't Krull that movie with Kevin Sorbo?
No, you're thinking of Krull. Krull the Conqueror.
Is it even PC to watch Kevin Sorbo movies nowadays?
Isn't that the Venom dude?
Krull is also the name of the Venom god. Yes.
Or is it
that's Null. That's Null.
No, it's Null. Whoops, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very rhymey.
Yeah. So I guess we're just gonna talk about Krull now. Here we go. Oh my goodness. We watched the 1983 movie Krull because Clarke's like, I want to watch Krull. And I was like, all right, let's watch Krull.
I gave you what you asked for.
Yes, you did. Well, I asked for Hero's Journey movies that are from a different time, that we can make Ricky watch. And Clarke gave us a list of 3, and we kind of whittled them down to Krull because I know Ricky's tastes, and I was trying really hard to not give him the high fantasy experience and also not let him watch a movie he's already watched. And so that's how we ended up with Krull.
I thought he did a kick out of young Liam Neeson.
The other options were Legend with Tom Cruise from a Ridley Scott movie, which we'll definitely watch that one at some point. And Akira, the classic anime. Ricky's already seen Akira, and yeah, it was down to almost a coin toss, but we watched Krull. We're gonna talk about it right now. Spoiler warning, I guess. Like, it's 40 years old now. Whatever. Yeah, we're gonna spoil that movie, I guess. But really quick before we talk about it, let me just give you the synopsis. Krull is a 1983 science fantasy swashbuckler film directed by Peter Yates and written by Stanford Sherman. It follows Prince Calwyn and a fellowship of companions who don't have names, who set out to rescue his bride, Princess Lissa, from a fortress of alien invaders who have arrived on their home planet. This was an international co-production of the United Kingdom and the United States. Krull was released in July of 1983. The film was a box office bomb upon release, and critical opinion has been mixed, both upon release and in retrospect. Numerous reviewers have highlighted its visual effects and soundtrack, while several critics have criticized its plot as being derivative and nonsensical. This film has gone on to achieve cult film status. I feel like this film has gone on to achieve cult film status is going to be the description of most of the crap we write, or I mean, we review, because that's literally what they said about Masters of the Universe 2 weeks ago when we did that. I feel like this one deserves it more than Masters of the Universe. I honestly feel this was a better movie than Masters of the Universe, but Masters of the Universe had more charming characters. I think the character department was really lacking in Krull, especially to the point where they just give you, at halfway through the movie, they give you a band of characters that you will never learn the names for, just so that they can die throughout the whole movie. And that was weird to me. That was really weird. But Clarke, I want you to tell us why you chose Krull.
So, as I said, I saw Krull in the theaters. So I was a young boy, you know, so 83. So that means I was 9. You know, Star Wars was in your head. Return of the Jedi had just come out. That came out that year. So, but there really wasn't that many fantasy movies, you know, back then, because they were hard to make in special effects, and they had like the really cheesy ones, or they had the ones that we might get to, which were the really cheesy ones with a lot of gratuitous nudity that, of course, as a 10-year-old, I did not see.
Which ones are those?
The Sword of the Sorcerer.
Sword of the Sorcerer.
The Sword and the Sorcerer.
All right, Ricky, we're watching that one.
Yeah, we're watching that next week.
Among others. Not Krull the Conqueror, though. I remember it. I remember the original Clash of the Titans. You know, I remember seeing that, and that's where I learned the word mediocre, because that's what my dad called it when it came up. But as a kid, things that I remember the most are the music and the glaive, which I thought was one of the coolest weapons. That weird starfish thingy that's so impractical. Now, I mean, like you slice your fingers off more often than not, like trying to use it, but I didn't care. I would make that thing out of bristle blocks or Legos, whatever I could. I would try to replicate it. And I remember the creepy, you know, the Cyclops, of how creepy that looked. I remember how creepy the spider was. And I remember that the weird, like, giant eye that Lyssa stuck inside the Beast Fortress that made no sense whatsoever. You know, the weird sets and such. And it's one of those things that you see as a kid and you just liked. And it's like, why you like peanut butter and honey, or, you know, peanut butter and jam and stuff. It's simple, it's easy, and then you just grow up eating it. And
I think the sugar helps too.
Yeah, and the sugar. But, you know, nothing. This was supposed to, you know, no careers really came out of this. You know, you know, didn't do well and such. But I always remember Krull, and, you know, watching it with my older brother and it is one of those childhood memory ones, and I still enjoy it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like Liam Neeson, of course. I didn't know who that was. There, Robbie Coltrane, and so that was years later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I agree. Like that it was. I think that was probably one of the most charming surprises of the movie was seeing actors that would go on. See actors that would go on to do way better things than this movie.
And that's why I very specifically didn't tell you who was in it. And I'm like, oh, we'll watch Krull.
Yeah.
I wanted you to be surprised when you saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, doesn't that look so cool? The golden starfish bladed thing.
So I think my biggest problem with the glaive in this movie is they kind of try and force it down your throat, but like they don't actually one, it's the first MacGuffin in a film with a billion MacGuffins. And when they first get the MacGuffin, he's told to put it away and don't use it until you need to use it. And so you go so long in that movie that it's really easy to forget that he even has the damn thing until they finally tell him to use it, and he uses it to open a door. And I'm like, what is this thing? It's such a stupid item that like I wanted him to cut his hands off just because I thought that would be cooler than anything.
And it's spinning the wrong way to cut the door.
I know, right?
Because if the blades are down and it was spinning what would be the dull sides.
Yeah,
there's issues. There be issues. And I'm totally with you because I remember seeing that going, oh, why do we have to wait so long? There it is finally. Oh, but that's cool.
Yeah, but like remember when Luke Skywalker got a lightsaber and then like the next scene is him on board the Millennium Falcon training with the lightsaber?
Yes.
You need to let the people see the thing that you want them to get excited about. Like that was really weird.
That's budget concerns.
I mean, it's also Luke doesn't even barely even use a lightsaber in that first movie.
But he uses it right after he gets it, though.
Yeah.
Okay, and he lets you get a taste of it.
Then guess what?
And then Obi-Wan uses a lightsaber against Darth Vader. So you get to see lightsabers several times.
It felt like they wanted to, because this is a post Return of the Jedi movie, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No,
it came out the same year.
Same year.
Post Star Wars movie
started development in 1980. So post Star Wars.
So like they're like, all right, we gotta make the weapon that's gonna be the toy.
Oh, totally.
Like, guaranteeing that's how that went down.
Yeah, apparently, like Columbia Picture, the way this movie came about is the president came to like producer Ron Silverman and just said, "Yeah, I want you to make a fantasy movie," and that's it. And like that's like it's not like, hey, I would like you to adapt this timeless classic into a fantasy movie, or like, hey, what have you got cooking? Like, what kind of stuff have you been working on? No. It was just, hey, numbers are high right now with fantasy movies. Make one. And that is not a recipe for a good movie, sir. Like that's a bad idea to just, I mean, this movie feels like they pulled a million little pieces from other fantasy stories, cobbled them together, and didn't really make sure that the glue held tight between each scene. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
But I don't think that was the purpose, right?
No, the purpose was to make a fantasy movie to sell to sell tickets,
like
right?
I did a little research with the movie, and like there's a game, right? There was a shit ton of toys.
Oh, they put a bunch of stuff.
They really did the whole.
I had the comic adaptation.
Yeah. it's very clear what they wanted, what this movie was supposed to do.
Well, the movie went through a bunch of rewrites in the process. So like originally, like, so you were saying how Lisa hangs out in that eye. Originally, the first draft of this movie was the beast was a dragon. So like at some point that got changed, but they're like, we're keeping the big eye though. Like,
we already built it.
We already built this thing, and just, I do kind of appreciate the surrealism of the entire inside of the castle, right? It's like none of it makes sense. The architecture of it doesn't make sense at all. But like, okay, as much as I want to knock this movie for a lot of different things, I will start by saying the set design looks expensive. These guys spent money. They spent a lot of money
Filmed
on
at
all these
Pinewood
sets.
Studios.
So much time spent at Pinewood Studios on multiple locations. There are a lot of really cool sets in this movie. If nothing else, watch this movie fast forwarded to just get a glimpse of all of the cool locations that people created, and it's really impressive. That part of it is. I gotta ask though, like, what are your thoughts on the voice dubbing? There's a lot of voice dubbing in this movie. There's a lot.
I was checked out.
You checked out that was in the first minute of the movie, dude. First 2 minutes, something like
I mean,
that.
of course, I didn't notice when I was a kid, and then I found out much later, that Lissa was dubbed over and such. And
I read Robbie Coltrane was too, actually.
Yeah, because they didn't want the British accents.
Yeah, that's weird.
Weird
that you would have this British movie without British accents. Yeah.
And dubbing. I mean, it's the way the producers went. I mean,
you're already throwing money at the problem, right? Like, might as well just throw even more.
I mean, it's always funny to hear Darth Vader's the actual actor's voice when they show that before James Earl Jones came in. So yeah, I don't know what the original sounded like.
Like,
that's fair, but you also don't see his mouth moving differently than the words coming out.
This whole movie reminded me, in like the best and worst of ways, of the Waterworld show at Universal. Partially for the voice dubbing, because they do dub those voices and they're a little off sometimes. But it was fun.
Actually, the new production doesn't. They now have live voices.
All right, it's been a minute.
But you mean they were lip syncing?
They were lip syncing.
It's a different thing to lip sync than to dub.
You have some cool special effects, practical special effects, and maybe the next time I go to Universal, I'll watch it. If I go another time within the next year, I probably won't go and watch it. And I feel pretty good about that. But it was just a mildly entertaining 2 hours of my life.
What was your favorite part of this movie?
I think the set designs for you guys. Like, I kind of did like the eye thing, and then the whole beast thing at the end, like just seeing it. I kind of applaud them for going as scary as they did. I don't know if that was 80s scary or if that's genuinely scary. How did little Clarke take that, seeing that in theaters?
I was scared. They had different nightmares, like when the guys are in the chamber and the thorns are going into them. So of course one of them had to die to show how dangerous. But then the other ones does the thing where it goes, right up to the neck. But that scared me, of course. And the organic nature of it being inside the thing, the curved walls and stuff scared me. But I mean, not like.
I get what you're saying though. Like the entire, especially the interior of the castle, but like a lot of elements of that movie. When I was done watching it, I felt like I just got over a fever dream. Like, yeah, it is something like it is. There is stuff of nightmares in there for sure. I do see it.
The doppelganger in the swamp that had the sand, and stuff like that was scarier.
Yeah.
To me, that was creepy. And
the doppelganger of the blind guy that we met only 5 minutes earlier, and then like he dies.
Okay, I have a question for you. As they go to see the blind guy with the crystals around, and then did you get a little bit of Your Highness in that one?
A little bit. I did feel a tiny bit of that, but like I think my big problem I had with like every single MacGuffin or person that they went after was like this guy Ynir who shows he's like the Obi-Wan of the story, shows up early on, right after the entire wedding party has been completely obliterated. But the Colwyn and Lissa are about to get married when they get invaded by the Slayers, and then he somehow survives. He wakes up and Obi-Wan is putting like, I don't know,
the paste on his
putty on his chest, and he's just the guy that's gonna tell you, the audience, every single thing that this character has to do for the rest of the movie. But the weirdest part about it is every single thing that they're gonna do is the only way, and it's very dangerous. But then when they fail to do something, but wait, there's another way, and I know of it, but it's very dangerous. And it just keeps being that for the entire freaking movie.
That's just called good storytelling.
Yeah. And then the weirdest part is like, you know what did trigger more in my head than Your Highness is the Lord of the Rings movies, because like I think one of my favorite things about the Lord of the Rings movies is they take a little time each time they're traveling between one place to another to really just show you that journey, you know, the perilous, like walking along like the tops of mountains to get to the next place, and it really shows the epicness of the traveling that they do. In this movie, every time they say they're going to go do something, the next scene is them there. They're just there. And that was like killing me, because I'm like, how am I supposed to get to know these characters if you're not having banter on the journey to the next place?
They needed loading screens.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed loading screens for this movie, and I just feel the editing of it is really just, I mean, I'm sure it's a product of the billions of rewrites, you know, they just had to cobble together whatever coherent movie they had after they probably blew the budget a million times over. I read that this is what, at the time, this was like the most expensive movie ever made. Like
I would believe it. Yeah.
It looks expensive, man. Like when I was watching this movie, I'm like, this is really expensive. Like, so yes, the Beast, even as gross as he looks expensive as hell. I read it's like a full-on animatronic.
Yeah.
Like it's a full animatronic. Like it's pretty crazy. But yeah, no, I think this movie had a lot of potential to be a really enjoyable experience, but I didn't really get to enjoy most of the characters. And then when the characters are dying in quicksand or getting stabbed by bristles coming out of walls or getting shot by slayers, and then the characters in the movie are yelling out their names, and I'm like, bro, that's the first time you've said their names. Like, how am I supposed to get sad for Menmo?
Well, you gotta buy the toy to know the name, or buy the comic, and then they tell you the name in the comic.
I just felt so sad that like they missed all these opportunities to let me care about these characters before they died, because like seeing that level of death as a child would be super traumatizing and would really make you remember this movie forever. But it'd do even better if you cared about the character like Obi-Wan. You know what I mean? Like when we as kids saw Obi-Wan Kenobi die, that meant something because he went on that journey through the whole story, and you got to learn who he was as a person and how he relates to Darth Vader and Luke. But yeah, when Robbie Coltrane's character just gets shot and then dies, I'm like, but you didn't add much to the story. You just complained about it. You complained about the adventure, and then at the end, you're like, I was wrong. The journey was worthwhile. And then he just keels over and dies. I'm like, what about that journey was worthwhile? Please explain that to me. I don't know.
You can't. He's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
know.
I
would
wanna
not
know, like,
hold this up, to Lord of the Rings, of course not. But it was a fun movie from that period that I thought you guys would enjoy watching because it would be something that you hadn't seen, but as you said, an amalgam of so many different similar stuff. And because there are some things that, and I like what you said. There's some things that they did really well. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's worth it just for the set design. So is it worth watching 2 hours? I say absolutely. You know, would I pay extra money to sit with Ricky and watch it in IMAX? And so no.
Yeah, no. It was, I mean,
Yeah.
it was. I'm happy I watched it. Like I really am, because I they were overly ambitious, and I think in the best of ways in this film, and I think they were trying to do, and it hit more than it missed. But it definitely also was flawed in like so many ways.
Yeah,
And it's boring. It was. I mean,
I couldn't help comparing it to Masters of the Universe because that's the last thing we watched, right? Which,
Yeah.
and which also suffered from like a poorly written main character, right? Like
those movies
He-Man.
just get boring in the middle.
Yeah. He-Man was boring because like the middle of it was just like, what are we doing? But like He-Man had some really cool characters, right? Like you got to learn that Man-at-Arms was the guy that eats meat in a land of vegetarians, and you're like, well, that's kind of funny and gross. You got to learn, like about Courtney Cox and her dead parents, and all. Like there's characters that actually mean something, and like Lizette Anthony, the one who played Lisa, she's like badmouthed this movie like crazy, especially her role, because they did nothing with her character, right? She just
Right.
she's just meant to be a character that gets saved by the sausage party of a band of dudes.
And
that,
yet in the prophecy, she's the first one mentioned. As the
yeah,
prophecy said, a woman will be born to be queen, and she will choose a husband.
a woman of an ancient, born of ancient name.
Ancient name, yeah. And she will choose a husband, and they will rule the planet, and their son will rule the galaxy.
Yeah,
That sounds
apparently
more important for her than was actually portrayed.
At one point in the writing process, it was planned that she would turn into the antagonist near the end of the story.
Wow,
Did
I
you
did
know
not
that?
know.
Yeah, but this was not part of the final
No.
screenplay, given that the production team didn't want her to be less than pure. That was kind of the directive they had for her the whole time, is they wanted her to be pure. But she wanted to play it more. She thought that was boring, that they just wanted her to play it that way. Honestly, like the moment in the movie where I perked up the most was when Ynir went into the spider's den or whatever, and he called out the name Lisa, right? Or Lissa. And I was like, wait, hold on a second. I've been watching this movie with subtitles, and I know that I've seen that word before. What the hell? Are you telling me that the person who lives here with the spider is possibly the super old future version of the character at the beginning? And nope, it turns into a freaking Martha situation. It's just a super cool coincidence. And oh man,
Martha!
I got the
Why did you
bluest
say
of
that
balls.
name?
I got the bluest of balls from that moment, because I
I'm
really
so
thought
sorry. Yeah.
I thought we were about to have something cool happen here. Where like a giant plot twist occurs, and you find out that she did become this evil thing, and they're like, I mean, she's talking about how she killed her kid, and I was like, wait a second, is Ynir Colwyn like, but super old, and like, is this a time travel story? No, it's not. It was just a stupid Zack Snyder Martha moment. Like,
Wow.
isn't it cool?
You can't call it a Martha moment. It came out 30 years before Martha.
Yeah, and it probably justified Zack Snyder's decision to do the Martha gag. Yeah. Like, look, people loved Krull.
I will say though, like if they were to announce HBO Max. Hey, we're doing a Krull miniseries 2024. I'd be down.
So I'm curious though, like you saying this, and you've numerous on numerous occasions you've talked about how much you don't like fantasy movies. How did you feel about the fact that all of the people on the planet Krull were rocking swords? Meanwhile, the Slayers were literally shooting them with laser guns.
It's the same. It felt like Eternia in the Masters of the Universe movie. Like,
yeah, but He-Man was rocking a sword and a gun.
He only got a gun.
He had a gun at the beginning of the movie.
That's true. Yeah, he did have a gun at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And Tila,
I mean, maybe I would have been a little more vested in if they all had guns. But like, yeah, it's.
And they were
I
riding
really
horses.
don't love like the fantasy sci-fi trope mix. You know, I feel like it's like when you get what is it? You get broccoli in your macaroni, right? Like I like to keep it separated.
Oh my god.
Does it work together for some people? Yeah, but not for me. You know.
That's the tagline right here. That's the full review. It's like broccoli and macaroni. Yeah, I get it. I gotcha. I found some funny facts or some fun like trivia stuff about this one. Because the fire mares cracked me up. Like when they have to one of the last MacGuffins of the movie is in order to get through the castle, which is super far away, they've got to find some fire mares.
How could we get there? Fire mares are fast enough.
They can travel 1,000 leagues in a day. A league was defined as the distance a heavily armed man could travel in an hour, usually 3 to 4 miles. So that means that fire mares can travel about 3,500 miles a day at average of 145 miles an hour. That's how fast those horses were going, just to be clear. But the weirdest part about it to me is like, yeah, I got it. They're fire mares, and we're like waiting. We're like, where's the fire? They just look like freaking horses. And then eventually their feet just start lighting the entire like fields on fire. And I'm like, whoa, that is messed up. And then they take flight. And I'm like, why did you even bother to light things on fire? You're telling me these horses can fly?
Well, it's like the Back to the Future car. It sets the thing on fire, right? Like you gotta get up to 88, baby. Yeah,
144 miles per hour.
The Back to the Future car doesn't fly in the first movie. It's at the end. It's a different car.
I mean, it does fly in that movie.
No, it's
at one point.
It's a future version of the car.
Yeah, but it still leaves fire trail even when it flies.
Does it?
I think it does.
Yeah. Oh well, it's okay.
But the point is, fantasy. I mean, yes, that was just them showing how fast they are, and when they go in a straight line, flying and stuff, and it's all blue screen, But that was 1982 technology.
Like, so I'm just curious. You say you like the soundtrack to this movie, Ricky. How did you feel about the music?
It was fine. Like it was same guy who did the Star Trek movies, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the guy who did. Isn't it the guy who did Titanic?
Yes. James Horner did Star Trek 2 and 3 and Titanic. And
I don't remember the music of Titanic
Willow,
aside from like the song.
I felt like this music was offensive to me. It was too heavy-handed. It was like, I think like in the opening sequence of the movie, well, you see like it's totally mimicking the Star Destroyer like coming out, towards or approaching a planet, right? But instead it's this big rock castle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They play the entire theme, or like they play a medley of all the songs that will be played in the movie all at once, as if they don't care that thematically some of those melodies sound really joyful at times. So like it just played this music.
That's like a theater thing though. It's
that actually used to be that was more of the style, and they
Yeah.
used to have overtures where they would play, just have the blank screen and still play the overture of the music. And a little bit of trivia: the last movie in the theaters to ever do that was The Black Hole by Disney. That was
When I
also another Star
saw
Wars.
the
But
Star
this
Wars
movie
the
ripoff.
came
Hateful
out
Eight
3 years
Roadshow,
after Star
Right.
Wars.
they
But
did
it
that.
did come out after it, but that was still the mentality. People were used to hearing,
Yeah, it's like
all
when you
the
go to
themes.
go to a play, they play the
You
music
know,
ahead.
like Superman, goes through all the themes and stuff.
But Superman does it during the title sequence.
Yes.
I'm saying like the actual story starts playing while that music is playing, and it's confusing because it's like I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. Is this giant rock thing scary? Because then the music got happy for a minute, and then it got scary again, and then happy.
I don't mind it.
It was confusing to me.
But
It was
very
just,
well could be that he wrote that as a pre thing, and then they just put it on with the special effects.
it definitely felt like
yeah.
they're like, we need to have this scene
Yeah.
because it needs to happen. And it felt really weird to me timing wise because I couldn't tell like when did this thing land on this planet, because the people that we meet seem to know a lot of things about the beast. Did he land yesterday or did he land like a few months ago? Like I like it doesn't make it clear when he landed. You know, like I was.
And something that's also unsaid is, at no point when you watch the people on the planet does it look like they know they're part of a galaxy, and yet the references are like, oh, they know they're part of a galaxy.
Except they know that a Cyclops is from another planet.
Yes.
That made a deal with the Beast.
Mm-hmm. So somehow they have star travel, but no ships.
But they just ride horses.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean,
again, like I said, originally the Beast was supposed to be a dragon.
Yeah.
Probably not a space alien. I think some things got changed too much. Just saying. I would have bought it more if it was a dragon living in a Castlevania castle.
Aliens were hot back then. You gotta.
Yeah. I'm just saying the movie's confusing because it's got a lot of different things going on.
Yep.
I don't get it.
It has its flaws.
What's your favorite thing about this movie besides the set design?
You're asking me or Ricky?
Oh, I'm asking you because I want to know what it is that like. What it is.
It could be like the nostalgic thing, right?
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It is, and I still taste it. Even rewatching this, nostalgia, and I see the modern flaws and stuff with it, and it is a lot of memories. As I said, for some reason, the glaive I think is so cool, even though it is completely impractical. I totally agree with you, and I thought that for years. Dark Sector. When Dark Sector came out, people were saying it's the glaive. It's the glaive. Yes. And I've thought for years, exactly as you said, he gets it. Doesn't
the Predator have a weapon like that too?
The Predator has a glaive. Yep.
In the Aliens versus Predator. Sequel.
Yeah.
It felt like Tron, like in a weird way, Tron to me. Like I love Tron. Don't get me wrong, but like I understand that
Tron's a better movie though.
Tron is a better movie,
but it's also not a great movie either. Like it took me a minute, but I'm willing to accept that is not a movie for everybody, and it is also a boring movie for some good chunks.
You know what's weird to me is all the movies that came out after Star Wars that are so much crappier than Star Wars. Like when I watch Star Wars, still to this day, I don't look at it and say that's a movie that was made in the 70s and looks like the 70s. It doesn't look like the 70s. It just looks like a galaxy far, far away. You know what I mean? Like when I watch Krull, I'm like, you guys are in the 80s and you think you're making a fantasy sci-fi movie, but you look 80s. You look 80s as hell.
There's a scrappiness to Star Wars where I think they knew what they were working with and the budget they were working with, and they made the absolute most with what they had. And I think with money being thrown at projects to try to replicate that, they were overly ambitious, and it shows in this movie. It shows in Masters of the Universe. Like I think there's a biting more off than you can chew aspect to all of these movies where they want this grandiose thing, but without a good foundation, it's not going to work.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. Like, just how many, you know what it's like? It's like CG in Jurassic Park. I still to this day have not seen CG as good as I see it in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like every Jurassic Park movie after Jurassic Park has worse CG than Jurassic Park.
You are correct.
I don't understand, but they throw money at these movies. Every Jurassic Park movie after the first one is more expensive than that one, and they look worse. They just look worse, and it's so weird to me. I guess that just that perfect magic of everything that came together to make the Star Wars movie. But what's crazy to me is, like, as beautiful and timeless as the first Star Wars movie is, Krull came out the same year as Return of the Jedi, which easily is the best looking Star Wars movie of the three. Like, I'm not going to say it's the best story necessarily, but the visuals in Return of the Jedi are mind-blowing compared to the other two movies. And that came out the same year. That
space battle at the end with all the ties, and you're like, how did they fit so much stuff on the screen?
The Emperor's throne room alone just looks
was Lucasfilm
so cool.
a thing before the first movie, or would that come after?
No, that came after.
Yeah, I think
that makes sense then, right? Like, if you're the top dog, you're going to keep your people, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, ILM and stuff, he set up companies specifically just to make his own movies, and he has the best people. But yeah, sorry, I just couldn't help compare this movie to Star Wars the entire time I was watching it, because I feel like every critic at the time was also.
Oh,
right? They had to have been.
There's no way. I mean, this is nowhere near as good as Star Wars. Yeah.
And it's just so strange to me. So I'm just curious if this one really holds a place in your heart, but, like, what's the movie that came out around that time that is as visually stunning as Star Wars? Do you think it's Legend? Is that the one that we passed on?
No.
It's not, because Tim Curry looks amazing in that movie.
Tim Curry does look amazing, and it is one of the best makeup things.
Movie that came out in the 80s. That's
yeah.
I would say Terminator, right? The first one.
The first one's 80 or 70. Is it
the first Terminator?
It's 81.
It's absolutely 80s.
Yeah. 81. Yeah, 81.
No, later 80s.
83.
T2. I mean, I know there's a big gap between T1 and T2.
Yeah, but
even then.
Wait, he did Terminator before Aliens. Yeah.
I think those opening that opening scene of Terminator when they're in the future still looks pretty good.
That does look. But everything else, like, I see the guns and stuff. It always looks so dated to me seeing the first Terminator.
Yeah, the first Terminator definitely is it's a product of its time, and it's not trying to be any time other than the 80s.
Well, 84. I mean, if you go to the grade,
it's trying to be it set itself in Earth 1980s. So, like,
throwing Aliens,
Alien came out before Star Wars, though, didn't it, Clarke?
No, Alien came out after.
Did it? Because that movie's amazing looking.
I think it was 78 or 79.
79.
Gotcha.
So, like, a lot of the movies, like Superman also came out 79. Like there's a whole lot of the movies and Star Trek the Motion Picture that, because Star Wars was so successful, you're right, they're like, we need our sci-fi movie. And then, that got approved.
Yeah. Well, I will say I am happy that I watched it, because The name sounded familiar. The Cyclops looked really familiar. I've definitely seen memes at least of
I've
him.
seen the glaive at a Comic-Con.
Mhm.
I've seen the glaive. I couldn't tell you for the life of me who the actor that played Colwyn is, nor do I
Nope.
care.
Yeah.
I will never.
In fact, Ken Marshall is the name, and his career did not take off.
What a surprise! I could tell you just from watching that movie though that guy was going to go bald really soon in his life. Like that was a giant 5 head that man had. It was impressive. Robbie Coltrane and Liam Neeson though, they made it out of Krull, even if they died in the movie really stupidly. By the way, why did Liam Neeson get the most character development out of all of them? And his character was that he had wives all over the land.
Multiple wives. Yep.
That was gross, man. Like that was really gross. I don't know. Like what, like and then to hear that this movie's like marketed towards children and they like made toys and games and stuff, that's like, but okay, whatever. And weren't these guys just gonna steal everything they had? They were gonna kill and murder them and
yeah, they were robbers and thieves.
Yeah. I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much confusing about this movie. I like the sets. They were really cool. And I like watching Colwyn climb up to the cave to get the glaive. That was cool. I can't say that I would ever voluntarily put my hand into lava, but I also can't wield fire with my hands. So
It's just a natural progression with that power, right? Like,
yeah, I
you're
guess.
telling me the Human Torch hasn't touched lava?
I guess he probably has. Who knows? Who knows? All right. Well, closing words on Krull, because this is going to be the last time I talk about Krull for a while, probably.
Very fair. I'm glad to have shared this little bit of my childhood with you guys, and just for the experience, I think it's worth it. And thank you for indulging me. And this is a fun series.
Yeah. Don't take.
I do not take it wrong, because this is how we watch old movies. And I really appreciate that you gave it the slack for being an old movie when it was, but also saying, but these were still some issues, but these were the good parts. Totally appreciate that. But I like how you said at the very beginning, you asked me what is a bad movie that you really love, and I had to say, you know what, this one, because it plot wise, absolutely, it's got some big stinking holes. But as a kid, didn't notice any, barely noticed.
Where does Willow rank versus this?
Oh, Willow's better.
Clarke took us to the 80s Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
And had us pick the one thing on the menu that we had never tried before. And it was all right.
It was broccoli mac and cheese.
Broccoli mac and cheese.
So
I'm not gonna eat it again. But
if you want to see one that is worse production values, cheesier, but with a lot more gratuitous sex and violence, there's others that are like that. Sword and the Sorcerer. Yeah.
We're there. We're watching that tonight on the soapbox.
Next week.
Watching it on the soapbox. All right. I think with that said, we probably got to wrap things up because we're going to go hop on the soapbox right now. Thank you to Clarke and Ricky for nerding out with me today. We'll be back probably next week. I think we're going to start. We're going to take a break from this weird series of movies, and we're going to revisit the old Ant-Man movie because we want to watch Ant-Man before the Quantumania comes out. We have not determined who the special guest is going to be for that one, but look forward to that. It could be me, or I think you meant Clarke,
or the viewer,
It could be the viewer. It could be whoever's watching right now. Thanks to our patrons for supporting our growth, and to our audience for tuning in. I see you there, by the way. I know you're watching us, so thank you for that. But feel free to comment next time. It's cool. Please remember to like and subscribe at the very least. And check us out on Patreon for our after show, The Soapbox, starting moments from now. Clarke, before we go, you got anything to plug? You hosting the Rose Bowl this year?
Shut up.
you got that play coming soon?
I will talk about the play. Hopefully I should appear on the show before the play. That's in May. So I will talk about some more stuff.
Man, I just remember the last time you were on the show, you told us you were going to host the Rose Bowl. That was pretty awesome. I have that recorded forever on YouTube. That's so good.
Again, the best is the fact that Ian gave me custom made a mug that says Rose Bowl host 2022 with my name on it.
Oh, man.
And I have that mug.
That's terrible. All right, guys. I think that's it for the night. Don't watch Krull unless you want to see some cool set design, or if you want to just trip balls. I really feel like I came out of the flu watching that one. Yeah. See you next time on Dead Excelsior, True Believers. Enough said.
Bye, guys.